welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Chris.
Sean.
And that's it.
No one else.
And get well soon, Lee and Dan.
Yeah.
Dropping like flies.
Absolutely.
Yes, Lee wasn't with us last week, and we have a bit of an apology, because I think we were a little harsh on him under the circumstances.
Yeah, we were like, oh, he's soft, he's not here for podcasts, but he's actually genuinely in hospital.
Been in hospital since Friday.
Thursday or Friday, yeah.
With some kind of hallucinogenic stuff.
And Dan is recovering from his marathon at the or half marathon at the weekend.
Yes.
Marathon flu.
Yes, I think we can definitely let Dan off.
Can't let Lee off though.
No, are we still going to be a little bit harsh on him?
No.
No, right.
No.
If it was the other way round, he would probably still be harsh.
So any harshness that comes out in Lee's direction is purely incidental.
It's purely Lee's.
Yeah.
Lee's influence. So get well soon, Lee, and get well soon, Dan. So we're on a three-person pod tonight.
Yeah, our second three-person pod of the year, I think. Have we done two shows on the trot with the same lineup this year yet?
No.
I don't think so.
Not yet.
I appear to have been here quite intermittently.
So's everyone
Which,
else except me.
You
Yeah,
are
I
the
mean-
one constant.
Yeah, I've been intermittent this year.
Yeah, 194 shows, and I've still done 193 of them.
Yep, the one that you missed, we did make people shit themselves by not starting the show with your voice.
Well, that was a little bit hard to do as I was in hospital that
yeah,
night.
you were. Yeah.
Having my shoulder put back together after a bizarre cabling incident.
If memory serves, Lee did the intro to the
no,
show that
oh,
night.
no.
Yeah, and I've still not dared listen to it, and it's been a long time. Anyway, better move on with this week's.
Yeah.
Monday news.
A little bit of
well,
Monday news.
something-
Confirmation on Monday.
Yeah, we knew it was coming, kind of, I think.
Well, I don't know, with it having to be voted in by all 10 teams and the strategy group and God knows who else. But no, F1 have actually confirmed today that a bonus point will be given for the driver getting the fastest lap as long as they finish in the top 10.
Yeah.
So
I was going to call it the Alonso point. Because you see Alonso, didn't you? When he knew he wasn't going to get in the points,
Yeah.
he would pit first for the fastest tyres with like 3-4 laps to go, put the fastest lap in, and sometimes he would come away from the race with the fastest lap.
yeah.
Now that won't work if you finish 14th, 15th. You're not going to get the point.
Yeah. Right at this point, I could drop in that hat jingle that I did the other day, but I'm not
Don't
going
do
to.
that. No, that was a waste of time, Paul.
It took me about 3 minutes.
But
And that was only because I had to record the voiceover twice because I knocked the microphone on the first one.
it's an interesting scenario to put forward. You've got to be in the points to get the bonus point, but you can get fastest lap of the race. What I was worried about was I didn't want to see a scenario like we saw in Formula E, was the end of a couple of seasons ago, where it was basically a fastest lap race for the championship.
Because
Because
the two contenders took each other out, didn't they? So then they came in, waited to be repaired.
And then went on
and
a
then-
fastest lap
yeah.
rampage.
yeah, then kept just doing 3-lap runs, out lap, hot lap, in
Yeah.
lap, whilst everybody else was still attempting to make a race of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, in this circumstance, that wouldn't work because you have to be in the top 10. But there could be like a circumstance
That's what I mean.
where...
I think that's probably taken into consideration. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
But what could happen, I suppose, I think that's probably what you're going to say, Sean. Sorry,
Yeah,
I've got a question.
where like you have this drop off between the leaders and the midfield.
Yeah.
You could get whoever's running in sixth coming in, knowing that they've got 30 seconds to the next guy.
Yeah.
Come in late on, new set of tyres, bit of entertainment.
Yeah, possibly. Or, if the race winner were to get the fastest lap, they then either claw into a championship lead or or extend a championship lead by that extra point further. And it means that you're going to get drivers pushing towards the end of a race rather than conserving. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
rather than 3 laps to go, the gap is 3 seconds. I'm not going to get much more out of this. Well, actually, if the gap is 3 seconds, I can hammer it round on the last 2 laps, get the fastest lap, and get an extra point off of him. So if he wins today, he gets the championship, unless of course second place gets the fastest lap, and then second place gets the fastest lap. It goes
Yeah.
on to the next round.
There's a lot of luck that comes into it late on in races as well, aren't there? With things like back markers
and stuff. Yeah, of course.
whether or not your tyres actually are still useful, particularly because we've got new compounds this year, and who the fuck knows how they're going to work.
And who's going to throw away points? You know, if
Yes.
you're seventh or eighth or something like that.
Pushing for fastest lap.
Yeah, you put either pushing for fastest lap and getting it wrong, or doing the Alonso thing, pitting with a few laps to go, thinking that we can still catch the back of the pack here for the top 10 and have a shot of fastest lap if we pit with 7-8 laps to go.
Thing is that, is 1 point enough of an incentive? Resident Anorak John Lawton, better known to us a lot as Rubber, he suggested maybe 3 points would be a better idea, because the last time that F1 had the bonus point for the fastest lap, it was 6 points for a win.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe make it a bit more valuable. And that kind of
That works for if you finish.
gives a little bit more of an incentive.
Well, it does, and it works if you finish from 6th to 10th. But if you finish first, an extra 3.28 points for a win, that's 10-point gap over the finishing second then. So that, do you know what I mean? That opens it up a bit too much if the race winner also gets the point. And if the second place person were to get it, the gap between first and second is 4 points, or the gap between second and third suddenly becomes 7-8 points, and that's not how it should work. Because you should get the bigger points for the position you finish in. I think 1 point is about right. So I disagree with John on that point.
I mean, Ross Brawn's been saying it's a resurrection of our heritage, because I think they ran this up to sometime in the 60s.
Did they?
Yeah, it was around for, I think it was the first 10 seasons.
Right, so early 60s, they probably got rid of it then.
Yeah. So,
And it does sound like a very American thing to do as well.
yeah, I mean, they do it in a lot of other series.
Yeah, do IndyCar do it?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Not to the best of my knowledge, but they do qualifying points at the Indy 500, do they not?
Yes.
See,
And I think Indy can do a bonus point for pole as well.
This is what I mean. You know what I mean? Like bonus point just sounds like a very. And I'm not accusing Liberty or Formula One as they are of Americanizing the sport, but it's just it seems like a very US influence, and they've just used the fact that it was from the '60s that as a reason for sort of justifying.
We're not being American. Look, it's a
we're not
a retro
Americanizing
thing.
It's historic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the
I'm not against it.
yeah, I think some of the tin top classes do it as well.
Yeah.
I think you get it in touring cars.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I think it could work for people watching, but it could also so easily spoil things.
Yeah. I mean, there's gonna be an extra trophy handed out for this as well, I'll bet, because
Isn't there an official fastest lap trophy now?
sponsored by DHL. So this is what I reckon, because pole position is sponsored by Pirelli, and whoever gets on pole gets the miniature tyre. Whoever gets the fastest lap, are they going to get like a toy delivery lorry
No, an envelope.
delivered to next door?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be like at the Race of Champions, where the trophy is brought to them by a DHL truck.
Oh, that
Because
was
that did not
hilariously cringy.
Yes.
That sounds quite fun, actually.
And then they open it up, and there's just like a man there with the trophy
And he
in
just
the back of the van, just
hands
stood
it to
there,
them.
Yeah, it was just a bog standard DHL delivery truck.
being
that'll
driven
do.
very carefully because there was just a man stood in the back of it.
With a heavy trophy.
Yes.
Yes. He left it next door.
Yeah, maybe. Can you sign for that? Did he have to sign the docket?
I didn't see any
He
signing.
didn't ask for anyone's ID.
That's quite poor, isn't it?
It is
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah. Here's a trophy, but can I say your super license first?
Who won the Race of Champions?
This year it was Mexican rally driver whose name eludes me, but he won the WRC this week, and I've completely forgotten his
Oh,
name.
right, okay. I was going to say it'd be embarrassing if Sebastian Vettel won it. What would be him being sponsored by UPS?
No, they managed to avoid that embarrassment this year. It's amazing, isn't it? It only happened like less than 2 months ago, and
I didn't watch the Race of Champions. I used to watch it, but I haven't watched it for a long time.
it was quite good this year. Other thing that's come out today is the whole fuss and shenanigans over the British Grand Prix.
Formula One and the was it still BRDC that owns Silverstone? It always used
Yes,
to be.
it is.
Even though they had tried to put it up for sale, they haven't reached an agreement yet. And Ross Brawn has announced that he is incredibly sad that they're not able to come to an agreement. But he says they're not far away from reaching some sort of agreement, and Formula One is quite desperate to have a race in Britain. Now that to me says it doesn't have to be Silverstone.
But where else is capable of holding it? Donington isn't FIA Grade 1
No.
yet, or anywhere close, and every time they're about to be, they always run out of money. Donington, of course, not having held a Grand Prix since 1993,
93.
the European Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Well known for possibly Ayrton Senna's best opening lap, certainly in the wet.
Best race. I think he lapped everybody except for Damon Hill, I think, or Alan Prost, whoever finished second. I can't remember who finished second.
But yeah, that's not looking likely. Brands Hatch, I don't know. Brands Hatch are very limited with the number of events they can hold every year because it's sort of slap bang in the middle of a residential area.
It won't be Brands Hatch. Even the bigger circuit's too short for F1.
I think
modern day
realistically, if it's not Silverstone, it would end up being a
F1.
street,
A street
circuit.
circuit, I think, is what you would probably.
On the outskirts of London, because they Ross Brawn's more or less admitted that they can't hold one in the centre of London because it would just cause too many problems.
Yeah.
And do we need another street race on the calendar?
No, we don't. No, and we don't want the British Grand Prix to be a London street circuit, do we?
No,
I mean, I don't mind
still,
it as an addition.
There's still talk of the London Grand Prix being a completely separate event.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I don't mind it as an addition to the British Grand Prix.
But you wouldn't want it to replace Silverstone.
No. Unless they do like the I don't know, bring it here, bring it to the Isle of Man. We'll pretend to be British for a day.
Hey, if the pay is enough, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, then
Where
again, no,
would we
you've got
put it? We couldn't put it at Derby.
No, it'd be
Derby is
just
not
a TT
FIA
track.
sanctioned.
Fine. It's fine. It's more dangerous than the Nürburgring. You won't get FIA sanctioning either, but just do it anyway.
It would be what, like 2 laps?
Cat is dangerously close to knocking drinks over.
That's well behaved cat though.
Okay, just pre-warning.
Sassy little nightmare is busy sat up the top there, so she's well out of the way. Bruno is less of a bother, although he's getting dangerously close to my drink.
Just going to move that large, almost full pint glass of squash that he was about to barge into.
Track hazards.
I mean, we back on topic now. The cat's buggered off. There needs to be a British Grand Prix. That is a long and short of it.
Yeah, there does.
And I'm
need
not
to be a
saying
British
that.
Grand
Not
Prix.
saying that through British bias. It's just if F1, all right, they want to expand into new territories, new markets, new areas, do new things. They've still got to respect the past, which is what they claim they're doing by bringing in the bonus point for. I nearly called it an extra life then. The bonus point for the fastest lap. So if they're looking to the past as well as the future, there are certain races that have to be held. Britain, Italy,
Belgium. Technically speaking, France. Although France was off the calendar for a long time.
True.
Yeah, and then you've got Germany as well, but yeah, there hasn't been a
That comes
German
and
Grand
goes,
Prix.
doesn't it?
But these are all European countries that geographically are next to each other. Do you know what I mean? It's global in a global world. Having races so close to each other might not work out so well. I mean, look at Singapore and Malaysia ran alongside each other for 10 years. Then Malaysia was like, actually, can't be bothered. There's a race 180 kilometers away. We'll just go with that one instead.
Yeah. Well, the fact that Malaysia had to put the prices up because the cost to the circuit of holding the race just kept going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And it was making a loss for the promoters. You know, there's billions being thrown around in Formula One, and it just amazes me that a lot of I'll say stakeholders in it can't turn a profit with this amount of cash that's flying around.
Yeah.
And
Somebody's making money somewhere.
Is that down to Formula One themselves wanting too much? Is this a throwback to the Bernie days? Where if there's money involved in the sport, I want it all. Every penny is a prisoner.
Exactly. Or is it just the system is broken and it's too, you can't fix the system without, breaking it completely and starting again. You know, if you change one thing, you're going to annoy the teams. If you annoy the teams, oh, we're not accepting that. And then you change something else, the drivers go, we're not doing that many races. And then they've got to change something else. And TV companies go, well, we're not paying that. Do you know what I mean? There's too many interested parties, I think, for them to change everything completely. So there has to be some sort of appeasement somewhere.
There is definitely an issue with Formula One charging too much to put races on, though, because there's MotoGP have been busy announcing a couple of new races that they've got in the next couple of years, one of which is in Finland. And they've got
cool.
a new track just about to open there. Looks awesome. Interestingly named the Kimi Ring. With a
Really?
Kimi with a Y, not an I, so it might be Kimi. I don't know.
As we learnt last week, we're not great on Finnish pronunciation.
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, this track is FIA Grade 1, Class 1, whatever they call it, sanctioned for F1, but they cannot get the price
Really?
in Finland. How is there not going to be a demand for that?
But Finland has more motorsport world champions per capita than any other nation on earth. Over the history of motorsport.
Yeah.
But
It's-
they
yeah.
can't get the money together for F1.
No. Well, it's only a country of about 5 million people, despite it's huge, but it's mostly trees.
Yeah, it's a country of 5 million people, and about 4 million of them all take part in some form of motorsport.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assumption.
And all the others do winter sport.
Well, it takes like 2 years to pass your driving test in Finland because you've got to learn how to skid. And learn how to. You do seriously. You got to learn how to skid on. Because it's going to happen because ice.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, you have to learn how to control skids and everything, which is why the Finnish make wonderful race drivers because they learn to drive from such a young age, and these skills are just natural to them almost.
Whereas apparently the American driving test is pull up at that traffic light. You've passed.
Well, I don't know about that, but
We'll not get back into the difficulties between, or the difference in difficulty between the British driving test and the American one.
no, don't get into that.
After a lot of Americans were stunned at how tricky the British one is.
It is quite difficult, but it's difficult for a reason. But the Grand Tour, when Richard Hammond had to take his test in a foreign country, they made him put his hands up, closed his hands, opened his hands, like did a little
To
dance on
prove
his
that you
feet.
could like grip.
Yeah, turned around, and that was it. He passed his driving test.
Was that China?
Yeah, I think it
that
was. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was in China. Oh, yeah, good driving test that in China.
That's completely thrown me.
Sorry, off topic. It's not like me.
We have gone off piste
It's
a little.
completely like me.
Yeah. Dragging it back on. We are still going to be 4 races away, at least, from F1's goal of a 25 race calendar, which nobody seems to be keen on.
Teams and drivers are not keen on it because they say that this season 2019 finishes on the 2nd of December, which might not sound like it's a couple of weeks later than it usually is, but might not sound a lot. But when you think about how long it takes them to shut the factories down for winter, okay, the development teams still work, but they won't be shut down and have everything back in and safe and locked away again until just before Christmas. By which point most Formula One staff are already well finished and on their winter breaks by that point.
Yeah.
Which means their winter break is then going to be from just before Christmas to the middle of January. It's a very short break because obviously cars will get ready for launch in February. We've just seen them.
Yeah, and of course it was a week earlier this year, and we saw how well that went for Williams.
Exactly. Yeah, it didn't work very well for Williams at all. We think that Williams might be in complete dire straits. We're not entirely sure, but there are many rumours flying around, and that's purely because the season was a week earlier this year and finishes 2 weeks later. What strain that's going to put on anyone else for the beginning of the 2020 season if they keep expanding, I just don't know. It can't be a 52-week a year sport. It just can't be, or a 48-week with a break over Christmas. It's too much.
Well, it's, to throw in the first Drive to Survive quote of the night, one thing that Christian Horner said, Christmas is an inconvenience to us.
Yeah, because that's when their peak putting the car together. It becomes surely as well a problem for particularly the midfield teams when you reach that point of the season where you have to decide, are we starting work on next year's car or are we developing this year's car? If there's even less time at the end of the year, you could have someone do really well one year and completely tail off the next year because they just haven't got time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Mercedes said, didn't they, that the drawings for the W10, initial drawings, started right at the end of the 2017 season.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's if that's what they were doing, that at the end of the 2017 season, at the back end of the 2019 season, they should be looking at the very first drawings for their 2021 car. Depending on what the regulations are, they might not. They might change or not. We don't know yet.
When 2021 happens in 2023.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Concord Agreement, etc., etc. But the maths is still the same. And if we get to 2021 and there is 25 races, then that car won't have had as much time to be ready, and that means that the teams are going to have to throw more money in. And again, all that's going to do is promote the teams who've already got the money, the Mercedes, the Ferrari, the works team, Renault, that they are going to be the ones who will be able to throw the money into the project. The garagistas, your Racing Point, your McLaren, Williams, to a lesser extent Haas, they are going to struggle an awful lot.
Well, I think the development cycle, that's a new thing for Haas because, and again, I'm going back to their NASCAR background, but the cars in NASCAR only change once every 4 years.
Yeah.
You can run last year's car. We'll just build a new chassis because nothing's changed.
Yeah. Just make minor improvements.
Yeah.
Or,
But now they've sort of landed in a world where, oh shit, we've got to have something new every single year.
Well, the thing is, it has, and I don't know because
No, it's pronounced Haas.
No. I don't know because I haven't followed NASCAR in 35 years. Has Formula One knowledge helped with Haas's NASCAR project? Because you'd expect the knowledge to flow back the other way, and things that they've learnt with Formula One, they might be able to transpose onto their or transcribe even onto their NASCAR.
I have to admit, I don't know. I've watched a couple of races this season, and I've not seen a Haas winning
Okay.
or looking remotely close to a win. But I've not seen one on fire.
No, but their Formula One cars look pretty handy so far this year.
True.
See how they are when they actually are on track for racing this coming weekend.
We get to preview a race in a bit as well.
We do
Yes.
in a bit, yes.
Yeah. A couple of other things that have sort of cropped up since the last podcast. It's been all over and everywhere this week, apart from on the official Williams site. But the whole Paddy Lowe situation.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about the Paddy
Yes.
Lowe situation.
Yeah, no one seems to know what the facts are behind it. Williams haven't put anything out.
BBC were announcing that Paddy Lowe had left the team. Like they were making out as though Paddy Lowe was gone and not
I
returning.
think that was just a clickbaity headline because you went further into the article and it's leave of absence for personal reasons.
Well, yeah, but then they carried on saying, that, I've got to be honest, BBC's Formula One coverage has gone awful since they lost the TV rights.
Yeah.
And it's now gone even further downhill now that they've got the rights to show the Formula E on the red button. It's just become... They seem to be amalgamating their Formula 1 and Formula E coverage. I don't know if that's an attempt to get the very few Formula 1 watchers, listeners who still BBC-centric to go over to Formula E. I have no idea. But the BBC's coverage, even online, their articles are quite poor.
Just has to be said while we're on the subject of BBC and Formula E. I watched the Formula E race yesterday.
Yep.
The BBC coverage.
Yep.
That was great. That is better than any other channel's done it.
Yeah.
Good.
It was in good, HD.
Good. Well, BBC...
Which is a massive advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but BBC were good at doing Formula One. It's
Yeah.
just that they again, Formula One were charging them too much money, to broadcast it all the time, so they had to get Sky to help them out. And then Sky was just like, "Thank you for this contract. We'll take it on now. This is ours."
But going back to Williams, how fucked are they?
I think we'll find out quite a lot this weekend.
Yeah, I'm with Sean on that one. I think.
I mean, they might come out and surprise us all by, I don't know, qualifying 15th and 16th. You shouldn't be saying that about
I've seen some people.
Williams being a good surprise when they're that low down.
No, I've seen some. No, we should really shouldn't be. I've seen some listeners claiming that that's it, they're done, they're not going to make Australia. We've got another manor on our hands. Don't think it's quite that bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if mid-season they said, "Oh, we're not going to make it to this Grand Prix, but we'll be back at the next one." Do you know what I mean?
And they start picking and choosing which ones they go to. You
Yeah.
reckon?
Yeah.
Well, George Russell has ooh, voice going. George Russell has tweeted a picture of himself on an aeroplane, so he is definitely there.
What, in Australia?
Yes, it was him taking off.
Now the thing is, the drivers were in Spain.
Yes.
The car
This
was
is true.
not.
This
The
is
car
true.
was in
Haven't
Oxfordshire.
seen any pictures of the car, but one of the drivers is definitely there.
Well,
Or
I think they
thereabouts.
have to be in Spain for contractual reasons because there's the big in Australia for the opening ceremony
Yes.
on Wednesday.
Is that televised? I don't understand
It's
what
on
it
the
is.
Sky.
It's
Is it like a long driver parade?
Who the fuck knows?
I have no idea. This is something new that they're bringing in this year, and it's something like 5:30 a.m. UK time.
5:50 rings a bell, but I may be wrong.
It's round about 5ish it's about tea time in Melbourne.
Yes.
Breakfast here.
Ridiculously early breakfast time over here, and the US is 4 hours behind. So it's, do I really want to stay
Yeah,
up to
middle
watch
of the
this on a
night.
Wednesday night?
Yeah, probably not.
And much easier to watch if you're in Los Angeles.
Yes, because it'll just be early evening.
Yes. So I've got no clues. I'll be watching it, just not live.
Yeah, it'd be worth a look to see what on earth it is.
Sky, of course, being Sky, are repeating it every 2 hours between the early Wednesday morning
Would
and
it be
Thursday
morning
night.
for LA?
7
Well,
hours
yes, it
behind. It'd be
will
about
be.
10:30. At 10:30 the night before.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough.
But
The laptop.
laptop issues again. Yes, I know the antivirus has run out.
Are we still recording?
We are still
Wait,
recording.
it's fine.
It's still-
I just
it's
thought it
still
was
going.
worth highlighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna learn a lot about Williams come FP1.
The important thing is, have they built a good car? Last year's car was not a good car, and we were talking with Craig Scarborough last week as to whether or not that was, it was that already woven into the fabric of Williams that the way they do things, they're now just not going to produce a race-winning car until they make changes, and they can't make changes without the funding, and they can't. They can't get the funding in. They're being sponsored this year. No, obviously the Martini sponsorship has buggered off.
And they've lost JCB as well.
They've lost JCB, and also the Rocket. I don't trust this Rocket Mobile sponsorship. I just don't.
Where else have we seen that? We've seen that
The
somewhere else
Snooker
recently.
6-Ball Seniors Tour.
Yes, that was it. I knew it was somewhere a bit shit, but
So,
Like we were saying about Rich Energy. Rich Energy is starting to appear in places now.
yeah.
I also want to say thank you to Stephen Faber for saying he's going to pick up some cans of Burn for me when he was in the shop the other day. But I've rethought that. I'm okay. I like sleep. Sleep is okay.
He also did find another one called Plan B, which
What, like the rapper singer?
no, that's Plan B.
Planned.
Yeah, it was an energy drink called Plan B. So God knows what Plan A would have been.
did we not find an energy drink called Brexit a while back?
Yes.
Yes,
There
yes,
is-
we did.
yeah.
Yes. I thought this rings a bell.
Yeah, it was badly formulated and left a nasty taste in the mouth. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, we're gonna find a lot out about Williams come Friday morning.
It'll be interesting to see if they've actually got enough spares to get through the weekend, because that was one thing that hindered them in the test. Whether
Yeah,
or
they-
not they can actually do full, like 3 full practice sessions.
Yeah, they couldn't do 4 days of testing with one car with the amount of spares that they didn't have, and of course, Melbourne is quite a bit further away from their headquarters than Barcelona. And there's a cat about to destroy half the living room. And he's got stuck in a chair as well.
He'll
fine.
figure
Oh,
it out.
God.
He will figure it out.
I love this recording in different locations with different cats being annoying. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, the other thing, of course, we mentioned it once, but Drive to Survive came out on Friday.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a bit of a binge watch, didn't we, Sean?
I think we did, yeah, we do 7 or 8 episodes first night and then finished the last few the
yeah,
following
I think it
day.
was eight on Friday and 2 on Saturday morning. If you haven't seen it,
Like
and it's
me.
on- and it's on Netflix, go watch it. If you haven't seen it and you don't have Netflix, you can get a 30-day free trial if you've never had an account before. Get it just for that. It was a fantastic series.
I'm looking forward to watching it. Does it detract the fact that Mercedes and Ferrari didn't take part?
I don't think it did. I think it
No.
was actually interesting to hear from some other people for once.
Yeah, I mean the 14 drivers that they dealt with.
Yes.
You know, you didn't miss the fact that Mercedes, Ferrari, Sirotkin, and Hartley.
Didn't take
Might
Yeah,
as
part.
well not
Sorokin
existed.
and Hartley, I don't think it was that they didn't take part, it was just that they were that uninteresting they didn't make the cut.
Which is it's fair
Yes,
enough.
yeah.
I
I
suppose,
think all,
It
yeah.
seems
all you
fair.
saw Brendan Hartley was either him crashing or a very blurry shot in the background of him holding a shotgun. At a shooting day. It was
Okay.
it
Not
was
just
an event. He
generally.
wasn't just randomly holding up the.
I was going to say,
holding
is that
up the
how he
panel.
got a seat?
No, that was because of his experience in endurance racing.
Got it.
But yeah, that is one series that you can actually sit down and if you've got the time, watch all 10 episodes in one day.
Oh, wow, okay. I
It,
don't have the time.
it is that good. Try and watch some before the race this weekend because
I'll try. Is it? They're going to film a second season, aren't they? This season in Formula One.
yes,
Yeah. They're trying to. I know they're trying to get Mercedes and Ferrari to join in with this one.
yeah. And to be honest, if they don't, I'm not bothered.
Yeah, fair enough.
You don't lose anything by them not being in the garage with them.
I suppose it could be. It's about the 8 teams that aren't those 2, but it could be about one team and still be a fascinating watch. you know.
Most episodes focused on one team or one particular battle between 2 teams or
Yeah.
something like that. So and they had, I think there was one driver where it was the focus on the rivalry between Sainz and Alonso. I think there was one where they looked at Haas versus Renault. So they had like a couple of focused on a
Yeah, so
couple of
th-
specific drivers for each
This
episode.
is the thing.
And one very major Renault versus Red Bull.
Yes, which was great entertainment.
I've heard, but I haven't seen, as I say.
Yeah, we thought what got reported over the course of last season was bad between Red Bull and Renault, or mainly Christian Horner and Cyril the Beater Bull. Nothing compared to the behind the scenes stuff that they showed in this.
Okay.
You know, the Cyril the Beater Bull saying to Christian Horner, "Well, now you're lacking an engine and a driver." Just after Danny Rick had signed. Oh,
It is-
it got
it is
to
savage.
that level. And Gunter Steiner should have his own series.
He's hilarious. He could have 10 episodes all to himself. What was
Gunter
his
Steiner, who doesn't sound like an Italian name, but
No.
actually is.
what was his comment after the double pit stop shenanigans in Australia? Like yesterday we looked like rock stars and now we look like wankers.
Brilliant.
And that was when he was on the phone to his boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the call to
Gene.
Mr. Haas. Yes.
And Grosjean didn't come out of things particularly well.
No, he does not.
There was a lot of cheering every time he crashed.
In the Haas garage.
Oh no, other teams'
No, in
reactions.
other garages.
Really?
Yeah.
And there was one bit where was it a couple of McLaren mechanics betting on whether or not he makes the first corner,
Yep.
and I think he
Well,
made.
they've got their own past disaster
Yes,
predictor.
apparently so.
But they use Roman Grosjean.
Which
Yes,
I
we-
think
we've-
we should
we've-
bring it back.
Yeah, we've hypothesized a couple of names. I don't think we've settled on one yet, but
So we need a name for the Roman Grosjean.
Rolling,
prediction.
rolling, Roman.
we were thinking of some kind of like cooking chef pun about burnt in the kitchen. Or
I think your
too
best one
many
was Grosjean's
cooks
Kitchen
or-
Nightmare.
Yes,
Grosjean's
some-
kitchen nightmare.
Some kind of food-based pun.
Yeah. Chef Roman.
But
So if you've got
Get
any,
thinking,
Yeah,
if you've got any
feel
ideas,
free to contribute.
we will do our predictions for. At the moment, it's going to be called Where and When's Grosjean going to bin it
I'm going to say
this week.
Oh.
But send us your predictions as well to at 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Twitter. But if you can think of a better name, let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll
Yes.
stick with the best one all season.
The Pastor has asked a predictor for any new listeners or recent listeners who were not around when Pastor Maldonado was a Formula One driver.
Driver in air quotes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the game was basically you tried to guess when Pastor Maldonado would bin it. The joke
And it
was,
always was a when, wasn't it?
yeah.
Really.
The joke was always lap 1, turn 1. However, it did prove to be the most popular and correct answer. I'll go first with this one on the Grosjean predictor, whatever it's going to be called. I'll say lap 5, turn 3.
Interesting.
I'm just sort of going around the circuit. So turn 1, turn 2, turn 3.
The Alonso Brundle turn.
Yeah, turn 3's right at the end of the DRS
Yes,
zone.
it
Yeah.
is. Lap
And-
5, turn 3.
Because Grosjean is such a good breaker.
If he makes it that far, that is.
Sean, you gonna have a
What
go?
did you say? Sorry, I know you said turn 3. I didn't.
I said
did
turn 3's right at the end of the first DRS zone.
you didn't offer a lap, did you?
No, but I was just saying that's how fast
okay.
that particular bit is. I haven't
I see.
considered it yet.
Let's see. Who am I going to go for? I am going to go for a controversial on the straight,
Wow.
cocking up some kind of overtake on the
On
the
the
pitch-
back straight.
On the actual pit straight.
pit straight, end of lap 1.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
I'm going to, putting it out there.
Right. I reckon lap 28.
Okay.
It's like halfway into the race.
That's pit stop.
That's pit stop.
That's
Oh,
what he's
it's-
going for.
Oh, not again, not
history
again.
repeating itself.
Yeah. Lap 28, and I'm going to go for turn 5. Out of the pits, cold tyres, oops.
Okay.
So yeah, just for a bit of fun, send us your predictions. We'll see who gets closest, and
Blaming the new tyres, that will be, won't it, on the
Yes.
radio?
Yes.
Yeah. Or Ericsson.
Or why not blame Ericsson?
it was Ericsson. He's in America, but he still did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking of Ericsson, if anyone knows how he retired during the IndyCar race yesterday, can you let us know? Because the coverage kind of went off. Because at one point it was 9th, and then the TV feed broke down, and then the next minute we saw him being interviewed in the pit lane.
But then the TV feed broke down again very quickly, so we didn't really find out why he was being interviewed.
And we're here with Marcus Ericsson. No, we're not. All right, I suppose probably time to preview a race.
We can preview a race.
Well, we haven't done it for a while. I think it's about time we reintroduce that feature where we do a race preview.
Especially when there's a race to preview.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, first race of the season. It's going into the great unknown.
Well, it is, but I mean, let's be honest. It's Australia first, which it should be.
Yeah.
Has been for 20 years now.
Except that year it wasn't.
Yeah, which was Bahrain, but
That was because of the
Yeah.
Commonwealth Games. The promoters
Yeah.
actually asked for it to be delayed.
yeah. But the
Didn't stop Bernie charging Bahrain more.
yeah, because that was the season that started and finished in the desert, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it was because of the Commonwealth Games. I think the Commonwealth Games was 2006, wasn't it? And it was definitely later than that.
It was 2010 when they did the Bahrain as the first race.
And that would not be the Melbourne Commonwealth Games.
Anyway,
I'm not sure now.
I think it was possibly more to do with money.
Could have been, actually. But anyway.
yeah, Australia used to be the last race of the season. It's now the first race of the season. We like that. That works well. Ever since they moved to Albert Park in Melbourne. It's a difficult track to set up properly for, which, you know, as Craig Scarborough was saying on last week's podcast, it favours Ferrari more than it favours Mercedes. Just in the, you know, historically, whether Mercedes have got, you know, a better all-rounder, again, we'll know more. It was like we were saying about Williams before. We'll know more about everyone after Friday, really. By the time the rest of the world, I mean the UK, wakes up on Friday, we'll know what's been happening, where things kind of stand, and who's got a lot of work to do. But in respect of knowing anything, yeah, you're right. We are going into the great unknown.
I mean, last year, tough one to. It was a tough one to predict. I mean, everyone thought that Mercedes were going to walk it. Hamilton qualified on pole.
Mm-hmm.
Vettel won it.
Yeah.
If I recall, Bottas qualified in a wall.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I think he was facing the wrong way on turn 2 with the back end of his car missing and pissing out fuel
Yes.
and
Yeah.
various fluids. So
Start as you mean to go on, Valtteri.
Yes.
Yeah.
He didn't crash an awful lot, did he? He just had some awful luck. But that's last season. I hope that bearded Valtteri is like Hamilton's nemesis now, and that he really pushes forward and can. I want to see him taking the fight. You know, we don't know where the Mercedes is going to be. We don't know if they're the second fastest, the fastest, whether they're not there. You know, they could be miles behind. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, at the start of last season, they were definitely the second fastest car.
Well, even if they are this season, it doesn't bode too poorly for them.
Means nothing because they can rescue a situation because, let's face it, that's what they're good at.
Yeah, they're really good at developing over the course of the season. But I want to see Valtteri there or thereabouts. You know what I mean? I don't want to see him. We get to like 3/4 of the way through the season. It's like Valtteri, it's James.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
I don't think Mercedes want that because they actually put an appeal out on Twitter for people to stop using that joke. No, seriously, they did. Blue
Oh,
ticket
dear.
count and
They
everything.
did. Yeah, absolutely. To which everybody responded, Valtteri, it's James.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Asking people to stop just makes it worse.
I think even Lando Norris used that joke.
But as we know, he's good with social media.
Very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard circuit to set up for just because it's not one that flows all the way around. There's tight corners, there's long corners, there's fast straights.
It's a good all-round circuit,
Yeah,
but
just to prove that a good all-round circuit can be designed by people other than Herman Tilke,
yeah. But the
like the new one in Finland.
Yeah.
new drivers, I'm going to be really interested to see how they get on with. Obviously, Robert Kubica, we'll class him as a new driver. He has raced in Australia before, a number of times. He kind of will know what to expect, but I'm interested in the young uns, Alexander Albon. I nearly called him Dr. Allbrand. Alexander Albon, George Russell.
Talking of which, I found out this week that Dr. Alban is actually a qualified dentist
Oh.
and is legally allowed to call himself Dr. Alban.
In Holland,
Yeah,
because he was Dutch, wasn't he, Dr.
Yeah.
Allban?
I think he still might be.
It's my life.
No more than that, we don't want to pay royalties.
No, we don't. Yeah.
I've completely thrown you off
Yeah,
off
you
kilter
have.
now.
I want to know how the new guys get on. George Russell, even though I think he might be in the worst car we've seen in years. Lando Norris in that McLaren, just as long as they're fairly comparable with their teammates, because this is not a circuit that the young lads get to race on, is it?
No, that's the thing. I mean,
In the lower formulas,
a lot of formulas don't go there because the support races are all local ones rather than international competition. There's been. I remember during testing, I think it might have been Will Buxton that said it would be great to have an F2 and a F3 race at Albert Park because it's an ideal circuit for those cars as well. But it's just the expense and the logistics of shipping the cars out there.
Yeah,
We're
And
still at the time of year as well where they're all sorting out their contracts. I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
think it's
they've
a
had
full
a-
field yet.
They've had the initial testing sessions in F2 and F3.
yeah, bearing in mind they're the same chassis, aren't they? So
Yeah, but the drivers that were actually driving during testing might not be the ones that take it out during the race, or they might be driving for a different team come the start of the season.
yeah,
So yeah, it's going to be new, all new for some drivers outside of a simulator. I guess it means we'll get to find out how accurate Lando Norris's many simulator setups are.
well, yeah. I mean, I know he enjoys his gaming, but I mean, the amount.
It's iRacing. It's simulated racing, not
Yeah.
gaming. There's a difference.
Yeah, but it's we will see how much that really helps hinders the top level the toppest of the top levels. Obviously, it helps you in the junior formula get used to certain things, but this is Formula One, and simulators are simulators. People do a lot of work in simulators, but how many drivers learned having a simulator at home? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's
There is a moment during the Netflix series where Pierre Gasly is practicing, was it Singapore?
Yeah.
On a it's not even a simulator, it's in a race seat on a PlayStation.
right.
But it was just after it had been announced that he was going to Red Bull, and he was like, oh, do I pick the Red Bull? Do I not pick the Red Bull? And he did go for the Red Bull.
And crashed it.
Don't recall,
I don't
actually.
think he did, but he does play the F1 game in his socks.
Yes.
Did you see that in a sponsors press conference today that Christian Horner was talking about how hard that the Red Bull team had worked, building the car ready for Australia, and then turned around and said to Pierre Gasly, obviously Pierre made his side of the garage work twice as hard.
Put the new boy under pressure already, why not?
I think he was just having a little joke, but
Better hope Gasly takes it that way.
yeah, yeah. Well, you've got to, haven't you?
Yeah, could this be another year where Max Verstappen falls out with a teammate?
Maybe, but I think it's more likely that Gasly will fall out with Verstappen than Verstappen will fall out with Gasly. But when I'm talking about the new boys before as well, sort of seeing how they get on, let's not forget there's an awful lot of changes happened in the driver market this year that I'm really interested to see. I want to see how Danny Rick gets on at Renault. Really interested to see how Carlos Sainz gets on at McLaren, as well as Lando Norris. Kimi in the Alpha. How good is that Alpha? We think it might be really good, but we don't know. It would be quite funny, wouldn't it, if Kimi pulls up alongside Charles Leclerc for a pass at some point, or Sebastian Vettel.
I imagine Kimi would quite enjoy passing either of them, really.
Yeah. Was okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to see Sauber as regular Q3 participants?
They were pretty regular in Q3 last year.
I mean,
weren't
well,
they?
but there's a chance we could get both cars in there this time.
Giovinazzi as
A
well.
lot more regularly,
Yeah.
because I think Giovinazzi,
Giovinazzi.
Yeah.
unlike Sky
He's done
Sports,
2 races already, or 1 and a
Yes.
bit races.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
unlike what was it, Mike Wedderburn from Sky Sports News, who
called him...
I think it came as a surprise, and I think it's one of those names that
Giovinazzi.
I think it
Giovinazzi.
snuck up
Yeah.
on him when he wasn't
He
expecting.
managed to get no part of his name right.
The Vin bit, maybe. Van, no, it's Van, is it?
Yeah.
Giovinazzi. So, yeah, no, Giovinazzi.
Yeah. It was just funny to watch him struggling with it, because in the space of 3 news bulletins, he pronounced it 3 different ways, and none of them were either the same or right.
Yeah, Giovinazzi. That's how, after the debate last year, that's how Antonio Giovinazzi said that's how you pronounce my name.
Yes. But of course, he does have experience of racing in Australia, because he did fill in for Verline.
Yeah, he did.
couple
And
of
did
years
quite
ago.
well.
And wasn't too bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with a lot to prove, and it's so easy to overprove yourself early on. Do you know what I mean? And get it wrong.
Yeah. Trying too hard is something that drivers have done before.
Early season,
Yeah.
early doors, first race, first qualifying session. Look, we just talked about Bottas.
Yeah.
You're going to have a little bit of winter rust still. You're not in full race trim yet, and the cars are still. Nobody really knows the cars. Not even the engineers who built the cars. They know how they go together. They know how they work, but they don't know how they behave under race conditions. So that's going to be something to look out for across the whole grid. But yeah, the added personalities of the driver lineup changes and everything else. Lance Stroll as well on the Racing Point. There's a lot of pressure on him.
Can I tell them I'm officially moving yet?
Yes.
That was another line from Drive to Survive.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they were doing headshots of all the drivers that were changing teams, or the new drivers. And there's Lance Stroll sat there in his Williams gear. Like, I'm Lance Stroll. I'll be driving for Racing. Am I allowed to say I'm moving yet?
When was that recorded?
obviously before it was announced officially.
It was
Yeah, but
quite late on,
everybody-
wasn't it? I mean, they present it in the series like it was everyone knew around about the Mexican Grand Prix, which I think really we did. But they were presenting it as fact, but it was after the end of the season, wasn't it, when they
Yeah.
officially put the release out?
Everybody knew though. It was the worst
Oh,
kept
everyone
secret ever,
knew,
wasn't
yes.
it?
Yeah, we still don't know officially if Racing Point are a team yet. I don't think they bothered to confirm that. They've just assumed that we all know it.
They're a concept.
They've changed their name on Twitter and stuff now.
Yeah, it took them until 2
Yeah, I
weeks
think
ago
that
to
they've
change
changed
the
their
web
website.
domain.
Alfa Romeo Racing is still using the handle at Sauber
Sauber.
F1 team, which, in a way,
It's an
is
F1.
not
It's an F1 team that's
run by
run
Sauber.
by Sauber. So yeah, you can understand that.
Yeah, I can understand Sauber maybe retaining the rights to the Twitter handle, but yeah, still not released any decent merch yet. Come on, Alpha, get on it.
You just want the Kimi car wrap, don't you?
Well, no, I'm not interested in the livery. I don't think the livery's that exciting, to be honest with you. It's okay,
No, you just want to plaster your Alfa Romeo with number 7s everywhere.
possibly. I wouldn't mind an Alfa Romeo jacket or a hoodie or something. That'd be quite nice.
Maybe the merch will turn up once we get into Europe. Ferrari aren't taking any merch with them to the whole Grand Prix because they have only got Mission Win Now stuff, which they're not allowed to use in Australia.
So what? They're going to be playing red jackets with Ferrari logos.
They're going to be wearing last year's team gear, and they're not going to have anything on sale.
Wow.
Are Santander still a sponsor, or were they? Can't remember.
I don't know if they're still with them or not. They might be, but yeah, I read yesterday that anyone going to Melbourne and wanting to buy some Ferrari team gear, you are out of luck.
Oh dear.
So yeah, we might not see all that many Ferrari full kit wankers this weekend.
No.
Oh, I'm sure there'll still be some.
Should we do some predictions?
Whoa.
I know this is the hardest one to predict 6 days before the race.
Yeah. Now, you've got 2 in the
But
bank
it's the thing.
already.
I have 3 in the bank because this year for the predictions we're going to have a guest predictor every week.
Yeah. So if you want to be our guest predictor, should they get in touch, or are you going to pick them?
We will pick because sometimes when we've got an actual guest on the show, we'll get them to make a prediction.
So do these people, if they want to become a guest predictor or have a chance of it, at least have to predict using our official predictor on the Three Legs Four Wheels website?
Oh no, that's a separate competition.
okay.
That is a separate competition. But we will when we haven't got a guest on, we will pick with good reason somebody to do the predictions, and you'll see why I say with good reason this time, because this week's guest predictor is Formula Lee 2018 season winner Bradley Chambers.
Oh, Bradley Chambers. Hello,
Yes.
sir.
And Bradley is going for a Hamilton win, Vettel second, Leclerc third, with an extra prediction of Gunter Steiner phoning Gene Haas being rock stars.
Yes, very good.
I like that. That's nice. Surely you can't say that now because it's a rival energy drink.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
Yes, that's a
Good-
good
good
point. Good
point.
point.
Yeah, you'd have to say we're being rich.
We're being
Yeah, we're
rich
being
stars.
Rich stars.
Yeah.
Right. I also have direct from a variety of sick beds.
Direct from hospital.
Yes. Lee's top 3.
9.
10 and 12. And then when I explained to him, no, I want your top 3 predictions, like you do every race. Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So
The drugs are working.
the drugs
then.
are working. Lee is going for Hamilton, Verstappen, and Bottas.
Oh, that's surprisingly
Oh, so
sane
he's-
for him.
No, so he's going for Ferrari crumbling in Australia. That's an interesting one.
And I also have Dan's
Okay.
that he sent through. He is going. He says it's almost impossible to predict Australia this year, which I'm going to agree with him.
Every
Definitely
year,
on
Every
that
year,
one.
this
every
year,
year.
this year
it's more-
particularly, yeah.
It's more impossible. He's going for a Vettel win, Leclerc second, Hamilton third, Kimi to get fastest lap.
Oh,
That would be good.
I didn't think about fastest lap prediction.
We don't usually
We don't bother.
we don't
Yeah.
usually bother with these.
Well, it's not. It's a bigger thing this year. I can see why
Mm.
Dan has maybe considered that aspect.
So what about the three of us in the room then? Because Dan's prediction is awfully close to mine.
Dan's prediction is also awfully close to mine, which could mean ours is the same.
I was going to
So-
go a Leclerc win.
Ah, okay, I was not. I was going to go for a Vettel win, a Hamilton second, and a Leclerc third.
Vettel win, Hamilton second, Leclerc third.
Yes.
Okay.
Leclerc win.
Yeah.
Vettel second. Hamilton third.
It's a popular trio for the podium, that.
I am going to go for.
Don't sit back.
I'm not going to sit back because there was all of a sudden a cat materialised behind me. I'm going to go for a Hamilton win. Vettel second, and Verstappen third.
Okay. That would be good for Honda if they can get a podium at the first race with Red Bull.
Yeah, I think they've got a damn good chance because that Honda engine is far superior to anything that we've seen.
Don't forget they wanted to make changes to it
years.
though.
They have been in Japan this week, Verstappen and Gasly doing PR stuff, but generally there's been a Red Bull contingent at Honda.
Yeah. Don't forget that Honda wanted to make changes to the power unit because they thought they might have gone a bit too aggressive in testing. Whether they looked at the power units after mileage and thought, oh, there's too much wear on that engine. You know, we're going to have to be careful with this. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm tentative about Red Bull. I think Ferrari looks strong, and they might have the best car for the first couple of races. Put it that way. I think Paul.
Keep talking. I'm going to have
yeah.
to rescue my turntable from under a cat.
That's fine.
But yeah, this time last year we were all very excited about Toro Rosso because they'd had this brilliant testing with the Honda engine, and then I think was Gasly the first retirement of the season? I think he might have been.
Yeah, possibly. There were a lot of Toro Rosso retirements. This is why I'm not massively,
A lot of those were Hartley's car just sort of bursting into fragments.
I mean, he did have some good crashes, to be fair to him.
It's like you said on Friday, he never crashes subtly.
Yeah, never just like clips a front wing on a corner. Always full car wreck.
Yeah.
What do we reckon for hero and villain?
Ooh. I mean, we've already kind of suggested Grosjean. I think maybe we should pick on someone else.
For hero, I'm going to go Robert Kubica.
For being there.
Just
by dint of being there.
As I said, this is where the movie stops.
Yeah, visor down as the first red light comes on above the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going hero for actually getting as far as the comeback. Villain, God, it's a hard one to say if you can't have Grosjean.
For me, it's going to be, I think, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. I think it's going to be the Williams team.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
So your hero and villain are the same.
But for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say my hero is going to be Lando Norris.
Oh, I was going to go for Lando Norris.
Because we had Lando Norris on this podcast a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And he was just hoping to secure his Formula 2 drive with Carlin, which he did. That was almost assured by that point. And now he's in Formula 1 with McLaren, who we hope are improved this year. So for me, Lando Norris is going to be my hero. And I think the villain is going to be not necessarily the Williams team, because there's a lot of people who work hard in that team. The Williams management, ownership and hierarchy.
Yeah, that is a very good call. Can we also have George Russell as another hero? Because this time last year, just about, he was on the show, just having signed for ART in F2.
And then went to become champion of Formula 2.
Won F2 and is now on the Formula 1 grid.
Yeah. I think for my hero, I will also go for Lando Norris for the reason that I think he will beat Sainz.
Ooh.
And for villain, I'm going to go for another classic, Kvyat.
Oh, yes.
We forgot he
that
exists.
Danny Kvyat is a thing now.
The torpedo.
I'm going to suggest he will be back quite literally with a bang.
Kvyat and Grosjean.
It's going to be awesome.
Oh, let's go.
Does this mean
Who will get the race ban first?
Does this mean the title of next week's show is going to have to be called Damn the Torpedoes?
Possibly.
Depending on what happens on Sunday, you heard it here first.
Had we all forgotten that he was a thing until
Yes.
I mentioned him?
Yes. The thing is, we've been talking about Toro Rosso. Alexander Albon's been mentioned several
And
times.
we're nearly an hour into the podcast here.
And we've not
Sorry,
even,
Danny.
we've not even predicted who Kvyat's going to bin it into.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bloody
There's
hell.
so much to look forward to for this Formula One season.
I can't wait.
Kvyat's return from Ferrari, where he has been replaced by Brendan Hartley.
And Verline
and Pascal Wehrlein.
They've just signed everyone, haven't
Yeah.
they? They've had a bit of a binge.
Practically. They did it with
Yeah,
Kobayashi, didn't they? When Kobayashi didn't find a seat. Oh, come to Ferrari.
They're
it's
signing
fine.
sim drivers like MotoGP are signing new races up.
Yeah, they've been busy. Indonesia as well.
Yeah, street circuit was it?
No, I think they've got a circuit there.
Oh, right. And of course, they announced that Qatar is staying on the calendar until
2030 rings a bell.
See, that's one, right? The Qatar. Okay, there's nothing around that race circuit, is there,
No.
at
It's
all?
dead.
no,
Desert.
including grandstands. There were 15,000 spectators.
Yeah. But they have to, it's that open and it's that exposed, they have to sweep the track every day because the sand just blows in overnight.
So it sounds like a ripe Bernie picking Formula One territory, that.
Iffy human rights reputation, lots of money behind them. Doesn't matter if people can't get to the circuit.
There was also as well
Bring
last
'em
year
on.
the World Superbike Championship. Their round at Losail was abandoned because they had like a year's worth of rain in one day, and it happened to be the one day that they were meant to be there.
Ah, for a year's worth of rain is like when someone sneezes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, it
But
was
there's no
proper
drainage.
flood. That's the thing; they don't bother because they don't need
expect
it.
to have drainage. Unlike Silverstone, which was meant to have drainage and
Didn't.
didn't.
Yeah.
Apparently, that has been resurfaced for this
That
year.
was MotoGP, I believe.
Yes.
Demanded that because they only announced their calendar like the day after it was confirmed that resurfacing was happening.
But wasn't it MotoGP that demanded it was resurfaced in the first place?
Yes, and then they didn't like it because there was lots of bad weather and a very bad leg
I
injury.
should
And
stop using that
yeah.
left-handed tarmac.
So, the Australian Grand Prix first practice is Thursday night, Friday morning UK time. Qualifying is ridiculously early in the morning on Saturday. I will be doing the live blog for that. The race on Sunday, I'll be here for the live blog.
Yep, I'm planning on being here. As I say,
Dan said he was going to try and make it as well. Sean, you
I'll
will
be here
you will be
anyway,
here
won't I,
anyway
so-
as well.
things are very fluid with me at the moment, but I'm planning on being here for
Good.
for the
That was at least 3 bands ago.
yeah, it was 15 years ago now. Yeah,
God, is it that long?
I've got new music out on Friday though, Paul.
Really?
Yeah,
How did we find that?
you can go onto Spotify or you can go onto Apple Music or iTunes, and if you search my name, Chris Flood, then you will find New Dawn EP. Some places have got it available for pre-save. 5 new tracks.
Pre-save.
Pre-save for or pre-order, even though it's digital. 5 new tracks, 25 minutes worth of new music from yours truly.
And if you go onto the Three Legs Four Wheels YouTube channel and go to the playlist of bands we have talked about on the show, you will find that Dead Skin is already on that playlist.
Thank you very much,
And
sir.
better still, if you sign up to Patreon, you'll hear another track
Yes.
before it's out.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you go to patreon.com/Three Legs Four Wheels, sign up there for as little as $1 a month, you get an extra show. And this week's extra show closing music is
New Dawn, the track from the EP is named after. It's roughly 5.5 minutes long. Hasn't been heard by anybody outside of a select few. I've put it on the end of the Patreon podcast just to say thanks to the patrons for supporting us over the years.
I haven't even listened to the Patreon podcast yet or the track, so I haven't
You're
mixed
in
the
for a
Patreon
treat.
podcast yet, so I'll be in for a treat when I mix that one.
New Dawn very apt, I think, for the start of
It
the
is
new
as
F1
well,
season.
yeah. New Dawn.
It's a shame the Chemical Brothers got in there with F1
Oh, well, they
before
can
you
fuck
did.
off.
So if people want to head over to my Facebook page as well, Chris Flood Music, and give me a like, that would be amazing. And also let me know, if you do listen to it, let me know what you think about it as well. I'd love to hear from you.
And how do you get hold of you?
Either at Flood21 on Twitter or you can message the Chris Flood Music page on Facebook.
Or drop us a line, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, and I will pass anything on.
Yes, you
Or
can
tweet
do
us
that.
at 3legs4wheels. Oh, we've got all the plugs in. We've still got bits of the show left to do. This is
know.
pretty good.
Smooth.
Might as well get the rest of the Twitter addresses in. I am at Pablo100.
And I am at Sean Cowper.
Lee is at A Total Shunt.
Dan is at Dan Dankleton. And talking of a total shunt,
Oh, is it that time already?
it is that time already.
Now
I
this
was-
is Sean and me versus Paul,
Yeah.
essentially, isn't it?
There's only the two of us, so I'm hoping it's quite an
Because
easy one.
because nobody sent me one in since last week.
This is something you've written
This
yourself.
this is something.
Let's not
what,
spend too
This
long
does not
thinking.
bode
This is
well.
something what I wrote. No, I'm going easy on you. I'm going easy on you. We will start as you are meant to. I was born
This is the correct way to
Good.
start.
in 1959.
1959.
So someone who is 60 this year.
Yes.
Checking my
something.
maths or something that is 60,
60
this
this
year.
year.
I started my career in European Formula 3.
I mean, that seems a reasonable place for most people to start a career, really.
Yeah, if you're 60, what sort of, they would have been in their 20s, sort of late 70s, early 80s, maybe Formula 3.
I mean, you get it in the teens as well sometimes, don't
Yeah.
you? The Formula 3.
So late 70s, maybe.
Yeah.
Back in the days when people never used to make it to Formula 1 until they were about 30.
Yeah, so we're probably looking at maybe someone who would have been in Formula 1 in
So,
the 80s.
in the 80s.
I say
Yeah.
this every time. Remember when Jenson Button was too young to make his debut at 20?
Yeah. Now look at the Red Bull team.
You can't. They've all got to be in bed by 8:30.
Yeah, good point.
Third clue, and I will need a guess after this one. My first years in F1 were spent at the back of the grid with Arrows and ATS.
ATS, the tyre
Wow.
people.
Actually, no, it was a German team that just happened to have the same name as the tyre
I
people.
don't particularly remember ATS. Really.
I
I've
don't
come across
remember that
them,
team.
really.
Arrows, of course, the
Yes.
legendary team for many years in Formula 1.
So, a back dweller from the early to mid 80s.
Someone like, is Gerhard Berger old enough to be 60 this year?
He looks it. I don't know if he is, but he's one of those. He's difficult to place. He could be anywhere from like a really hard life at 40 to like living his best life at mid 60s. He's a difficult one to. He's somewhere in that spectrum.
Yeah, I think he was one of the oldest Formula 1 winners when he won the German Grand Prix. I think it was 97 in Benetton. So I
I
think
think in that neck
so he
of the
was
woods.
37, 38
Yeah.
then, wouldn't he? So that might not be a bad shout,
Yeah.
Gerhard Berger at the moment. So should we go Gerhard
And
Berger?
if ATS is a German team, having
They may have
someone
signed the
from
Austrian, yeah.
from that neck of the woods, sounds
Gerhard
good.
Berger.
Don't forget Gerhard Berger as your first guess. Okay.
Which is available on the menu at a local cafe. I'm not joking.
Somewhere has a Gerhard Berger.
Yeah.
Excellent. Clue number 4. At the end of my first season in F1, my career nearly went off the cliff, as did my car.
So it's someone who's a good driver. I mean, is this their personal car or their race car?
I don't know.
No.
It was a bit vague, that.
Yeah. This
I
could
don't
be some
remember-
kind of off-the-track shenanigan.
Don't remember any stories of anyone driving off a cliff. Literally in a Formula 1 car. That would have been...
I feel like that would have been news.
Or at least repeated every year. you
Yeah.
know, at least once
Yeah.
on Formula 1 broadcasting.
Like, I remember the time this happened.
Yeah, this is the craziest moment ever. Okay. So,
Next.
Next
I
clue.
think so.
I also drove in touring cars for BMW and won the 24 Hours of Spa.
So again, that sounds like someone from the Germanic nations if they're driving for BMW.
Could be. Someone like... trying to think of his name now. There was a German touring car driver who basically won everything that there was to win, excuse me, in the 90s, but he was also, you know, I wouldn't say quite old, but old for a racing driver in the 90s. Was it Frank Bieler, or was he French? I can't remember.
Not sure on that one.
Okay.
Okay. Clue number 6, and I'll need another guess after this one.
Okay.
I carried on my association with BMW when I moved to Enstone.
Oh, so went to
Interesting.
Enstone when they were a BMW team. Right.
So which guys of the Enstone team was BMW ever based there, or was it a BMW powered Enstone
No,
franchise?
I'm just trying to think. I don't think... Brabham weren't based out of Enstone, were they? Or were they? I can't remember.
It's
should
had
know
so
this.
many guys
I
as the
know.
Enstone team.
I know I should know this, but unfortunately,
Why do you think I didn't go specific?
Yes, yes.
I'll say Benetton BMW, perhaps.
It sounds like it could be a thing.
Benetton were based out of Enston. I can't. Going into the 80s, they may have been Benetton or Alfa Romeo with a strange engine for one season, which didn't really work.
We need a guess, don't we?
Yeah.
Shit. Do we have any advance on Gerhard Berger?
The only BMW driver I can think of, the BMW touring car driver, who was relatively successful, I can remember, was Steve Soper. But he was British, and I don't know when he was born. No idea. And I don't know that he ever took part in Formula One.
The name is not familiar to me.
Yeah.
So, what
don't
are you
know.
thinking?
Or Joachim Winkelhock.
Oh,
Oh, I don't know if he was related to Marcus Winkelhock. I've no idea.
I think it was his dad
Was he?
or uncle. I'm sure he was related. But I shouldn't be giving you clues.
No, you shouldn't be.
So let's have a guess.
Should we have Joachim Winkelhock? 'Cause you've got nothing
why
else.
not? Why not?
Yeah, Joachim Winkelhock.
Okay.
Or Winkelhock, as his name would have been.
Clue 7. In 1985 in Australia, I performed double duty in F1 and sports cars, which was the last time an F1 driver was allowed to take part in 2 races in the same weekend.
Well, 1995 Australian Grand Prix was the last one to be held at Adelaide.
This is 1985.
Oh, 85, sorry.
85.
I thought you said 95.
No, 1985.
Oh, wow, okay. So, again, I wasn't watching Formula 1 in 85 because I was too small.
Or not long enough.
Not long enough.
If you want the rest of that joke, subscribe to the Patreon show.
Depends what I was doing at the time, I suppose. But the... yeah, so it would have been at the back end of the season.
So if it was someone doing sports cars in Australia, as well as F1, could it be someone from the Australian neck of the woods? Such as an Alan Jones, would he be around the right age?
I think he was retired by that point.
Has he?
Alan
He's-
Jones was world champion in 1980, so he would
That's
only have
true.
been 21.
That's very true,
Yeah.
yes.
Stone.
He's one I find difficult to place age-wise. Yeah, scratch that idea.
Next clue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Clue 8. I have driven for 2 teams twice.
Oh.
Sounds like Gerhard Berger.
We
Again.
can't get past the burger, can we?
No, I
Neither
really...
can Alan Jones.
Oh, come on, right? He had to watch his weight all that time. Now he's retired. Let's just let him eat what he wants.
It was Nigel Mansell describing the Grand Prix Masters. It's great. We're in old cars. Murray Walker's commentating, and Alan Jones can't fit into the cockpit. It's just like the last 10 years never happened.
I enjoyed GP Masters. That should be a thing.
Yeah, it's a shame that went bust.
I drove for 2 teams twice. Benetton twice, and I don't know, Ferrari twice.
I assume this means as in had 2 stints rather than did like 2 races.
Yeah, I would have assumed so.
Yes, I'll be
Okay.
generous. Next clue.
Yeah.
I had various battles with Ayrton Senna on and off track, including incidents involving luggage, animals, and cheese.
I don't know anything about luggage, animals, or cheese and Ayrton Senna in the same sentence. But what I do know is that Gerhard Berger did like to play an awful lot of tricks on Ayrton Senna when they were teammates at McLaren.
Okay. Nelson Piquet Sr., I know, is known for a practical joke also.
He He's possibly the right age.
He
PK
would be
Senior
in that neck of the woods, wouldn't he? 'Cause,
drove for 2 teams twice. He's that world champion that we always forget.
yeah.
Triple world champion. Why isn't he held in the same regard as Senna? I don't know. Because he's still alive?
Guess he made his child crash into a wall.
Maybe. Well, yeah. PK Senior is not bad. I don't know that he returned to Williams, though. That's the thing. He definitely drove for Williams. I can't think who else. He did. He drove. Yeah, actually, I think PK did drive for Brabham at one point.
What clue are we on?
That
8.
was number 9.
Oh, shit.
So we have to actually pick someone here.
There is 10 and a Spaffer.
Let's go
good.
10.
I once owned 50% of an F1 team.
Sounds like
It does still sound like Berger, doesn't it?
Did he put any investment into Toro Rosso? Because he was there, wasn't
I'm sure
he,
he
for a
did.
while?
Was he not like team principal at one point?
Gerhard Berger?
Yeah.
I think he probably was.
And there is a Spaffer should you need it.
Go on.
For half a point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Half a point's better than no points.
I am probably responsible for F1 bringing in the bleep machine.
Gerhard Berger.
Yes.
I am Gerhard Berger.
Yes.
The luggage, animals, and cheese
Go
thing.
on. Yes.
Are these practical jokes that Gerhard
These
Berger...
are things that Berger and Senna did to each other.
Excellent.
Because
Do
I know
tell.
Berger played practical jokes on Senna a lot.
Yeah, the luggage one was the runner helicopter on the way to a circuit. Senna had a new briefcase that was made of carbon fibre, and he said it could probably survive the fall from out here. So Berger threw it out of the helicopter.
I mean, that's one way to find out, really, isn't it? If it does or not. Did it? Do we know?
I'm not entirely sure. The animals. Berger once filled Senna's hotel room full of frogs
Okay.
without telling him. Senna comes into the hotel room, finds the frogs, clears them all out, has a damn good idea of who's done it, marches up to Berger and said, "I've got all the frogs out of my room." Berger replies with, "So you didn't find the snake then?" So in revenge, Senna broke into Berger's room with a large wheel of camembert and put it in his aircon.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
He also did own 50% of Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah. He was the last driver to do 2 races at the same meeting at the 85 Australian Grand Prix, and he had to get special dispensation from the FIA.
Right.
Because no F1 driver is allowed to race within 24 hours of a Grand Prix event.
And did he drive for Ferrari and Benetton twice?
He did.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. Thanks to me for doing that.
Well done,
Well
Paul.
done.
Good one.
Depending on Lee's health situation, he may be back next week. If not, can somebody please send me a total shunt by email, 3legsfourwheels@gmail.com. And then I've got
It will get used at some point, if not next
I've
week.
got at least one in reserve. Quick Formula Lee update. It's Australia, as you'd expect, in the dry, in a Mercedes.
Yeah.
And you've got until next Monday after the race, which is the 18th, to get your times in. 7 o'clock UK, and I think it actually is 3 o'clock Eastern time in the US, because their clocks have changed, and they're only 4 out.
Ours don't change until the end of March.
Yes. So just for once, we actually get to watch the Australian Grand Prix without losing an hour's sleep.
Yeah, but come on. As I was just complaining earlier, it starts earlier, but the season starts earlier, but it finishes in December.
It's going to be a long season. Normally at this point, I'd say we'll be back next week,
But
but I'm not going to. We'll be back later on this week, because we have, all being well, 2 shows. Because we're doing an extra show this week with a special guest live from Melbourne. Mr. Sean Kelly is joining us, because he's going to be at the circuit.
excellent.
So I'll be having a chat with him Thursday morning our time. Our wonderful Patreon subscribers will actually get access to that one first.
Yep.
That should be up for Patreon subscribers on Thursday, and everybody else will be able to get it through your normal podcast app on Friday.
So just a day earlier for Patreons.
A day earlier for Patreons. I can't really sort of hold off with a race preview until like Monday, can I?
No, of
No.
course, no. I mean, it'd be great to have Sean back on the show. Obviously, he's been trying to deal with a lot of his own personal stuff over the last year and a bit. We've had other guests on the show, but Sean was the first sort of consistent guest we had on the podcast. So it'd be great to have him on the show and to hear what he's got to say on second episode this week.
Yes, and he will actually be there at Melbourne, so we'll get a feel for everything that's going on.
Yes.
And this will be after the opening ceremony
And
as
this will
well,
be
so
af-
we'll have to figure out what the hell
Insider
that is.
info.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll find out all about the opening ceremony and all the team's preparations by the end of this week.
Absolutely.
Right. That's about it.
Yep.
We'll see you later in the week and next week as well,
Indeed.
when we've got our first race review.
And we'll go, wow, weren't we so wrong about everything?
Yeah, it was when Danny Kvyat won.
Yes.
With Grosjean second and a Williams on the podium.
We'll see how that goes. Right. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.